So we have Bitcoin holding stable, but today I'm going to show you a few indicators that show again that a Bitcoin explosion must be imminent. And it's not my indicators, it's indicators from some of the biggest names in Wall Street. Also, speaking of Wall Street, today, we have a leaked report. And in this leaked report, we can see that Wall Street are looking at altcoins. And it's not just any altcoins, but it's a lot of the altcoins that we've been talking about right here on the show. And then just to reiterate the Wall Street interest, we've got Anthony Scaramucci joining us live. He is joining us here live in the studio or live on the stream to talk to us about how Wall Street is handling their first corrections and whether they are actually buying. And this is super interesting because after the Michael Saylor raise of debt capital and equity capital, it does seem like Wall Street has an insatiable appetite. And then also on the show today, we're going to be talking about the shark that said, "I'm out." And to see why Mark Cuban and how he got rug pulled for the first time and whether or not he is going to be staying in DeFi. So welcome back, guys. I'm Crypto Man Ran, and I come to you every day, even here in El Salvador. I said I wasn't going to stream, but so much is going on. And today we got this report. It's big. Let's say this. I didn't think that Wall Street would be anywhere near looking at altcoins. And I'm not talking about Ethereum here. I'm talking about like a big narrative. And it looks like Wall Street is a narrative. And it's, I guess, a narrative that we... So if you're new to our channel, welcome. I'm Crypto Man Ran. I'm here every day. We have Sheldon the Sniper. Guys, tell me in the comments whether or not you've been enjoying Sheldon's Sniper School Wisdom. And if you have been enjoying Sheldon's Sniper School Wisdoms, then I've got some great news for you because we are choosing a few people to join our Sniper School every single Monday. What we're doing right now is we're kind of warming up. We're testing all our syllabus. We're making sure that everything that we've created is ready to rock and roll. And then on the 1st of July, the actual real Sniper School launches. But in the meantime, we are giving you guys Sniper School passes for free. So if you want those Sniper School passes for free, follow me on Twitter, follow Sheldon's Twitter on Twitter, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, what I need you guys to do, I need you guys to do me a huge favor and smash the like button. Let's break this like button so we can get on with the show. And I've got a massive show for you today. I see there's about 5,000 of you. I need you guys to do me a huge favor. That's me checking the likes. Well, I see there's 5,000 of you. Smash the like. Let's get everybody back onto the stream. So before we get into the big story of the day, I want to tell you a little bit about what I've seen. Yesterday, I spent the whole day with in El Salvador with a delegation visiting the government, the presidency, meeting the president, meeting his advisors, meeting the finance minister, the minister of the central bank. And let me tell you that this is not what I expected. So I expected to come to a third world country. And typically in third world countries, you find that it's hard to get things done because there's usually lots of corruption. And usually there's, any government usually has a lot of bureaucracy and red tape. But let me tell you that El Salvador is nothing like that. The president is young. The president is 39 years old. And he seems like the type of president who gets shit done. Okay, now, yes, of course, there have been some negative reports about him around the world, but this guy gets things done. And if you meet with his parliament, if you meet with his ministers, what you see is you see a bunch of young people who don't care about red tape and actually want to make things happen. So I came here a skeptic. I came here saying, look, third world nation, adopting Bitcoin, yeah, it's a pipe dream. And it's not going to happen. But then I saw some of what this president has done, and I want to take you through something that I saw. He got a 98% approval for the way in which he managed COVID. Okay, 98% approval. He has a 92% approval, but he got a 98% approval for the way in which he managed COVID. And he told us a story about how they didn't have enough beds. They had 41 ICU beds in the whole of El Salvador. Not talking about a nation with 7 million people. 41 ICU beds is nothing. And within 3 weeks, they built a virtual treatment center, which is 1 mile away from the from the hospital where they built 1,000 ICU beds. And this is how they treat their patients remotely to protect the doctors on the front line. Just watch this. So what you're looking at is a bunch of specialist doctors. These are all specialists, heart doctors, lung doctors, brain doctors, all treating patients remotely through the surveillance center. Let me show you some more. So you can see they literally are treating these patients remotely. 1,000 beds are managed from this one ICU center. And it's not done with any tenders, government tenders, SAP, IBM. This is all managed on Google Docs. And these doctors are just treating and managing these patients. Now, the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because the same task team that was tasked, the same advisor, the same task team that was tasked with getting this up is the same task team that is dealing with the rollout of Bitcoin in this country. So this is a country that is absolutely serious about getting Bitcoin done. And we spoke to one of the ministers from the central bank, and one of the ministers from the central bank said to us, this is a remittance-driven economy. The average remittance, so they do 3.5 remittances. The average remittance is about $312. That's about the same as the salary here. The average salary here actually gets sent back to the family. And right now, they are incurring huge fees, which are excluding people from the financial markets. And that is what they are there to fix. Now, again, I say to you, this is a country that's serious about fixing it. The last part that I want to share with you, and then I really want to get onto Wall Street and Bitcoin and everything else, is that I was skeptical as to whether people were actually going to use Bitcoin here. It's all great to have this pipe dream that people are going to use Bitcoin in third world countries. But we went to small stores, and I broke away from the delegation, and I went with my producer. And I went to small stores here in El Salvador. And they had Bitcoin QR codes where people could scan and use the Lightning Network to scan. And in some of the stores, some of them said, okay, 10% of our people pay with Bitcoin. But in some stores, they said 20 and 25% of our people are already using Bitcoin. And they're using it for small purchases using the Lightning Network. So I don't know, to me, absolutely mind-boggling. Around Monday, we'll release a full episode from here. Today, we're going to the volcano. We're going to meet the Minister of Finance and a whole lot of other ministers. So very excited about what's going on here. And I'll keep feeding back to you guys. If you're not following us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram because a lot's happening on the Instagram. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to Bitcoin. Let's move on to Wall Street. And let's move on to the leaked report. Yeah, guys, smash that like button. And I need the numbers to go up here. I need more people to join the stream. I wasn't initially going to do a stream today, but I decided to come to you anyway. And only because I have my friend Anthony Scaramucci in the waiting room. So just before we bring him in, I just want to show you guys something. We have Bitcoin, which is now retesting. Remember we said to you, Bitcoin was going to retest some of the numbers. But the fundamentals and the indicators are again showing us that everything is healthy and that we should be expecting some kind of bull market in Bitcoin. And I want to show you a new fundamental that I found. This is called the Bitcoin liveliness indicator. It's another metric of Glassnodes. Now, what this shows, and I'm going to read this to you because it's quite complicated. It says, every day the network will accumulate 1 coin per day of circulating supply. Simultaneously, liveness is a metric which provides insights into shift from hodling behavior into selling behavior. It highlights periods where coins are being destroyed at a faster rate. Coin days are being destroyed at a faster rate than the global network is accumulating them. So basically showing you whether people are selling them, selling coins or buying coins. Liveliness will decrease when a lot of people are hodling, and liveliness increases when a lot of people are selling. Now, let's look at what the liveliness shows. Liveliness is clearly starting to decrease, which means that people are starting to hodl their Bitcoin again. It means the weak hands are out and they're not selling anymore. Another indicator which I found for us today is Dan Moorhead from Pantera Capital says, and he takes the deviation from Bitcoin from the 11-year trend, and he says, Bitcoin has only been this cheap relative to its trend, less than 1/5 of the time in the past 11 years. So again, more confirmation that Wall Street and the big funds are looking at Bitcoin again. Now, I want to bring in my friend Anthony Scaramucci. Mr. Scaramucci, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying listening to you, and I like those flags behind you.
Yeah, I'm here in El Salvador. I'm here in El Salvador, a delegation to with the presidency to see how we can help them and how the Bitcoin community can help them roll out Bitcoin here. And let me tell you, chalk and cheese, when I look at the US legislature and I look at the bureaucracy and I look at everything that happens and I compare it to a young president here that actually gets things done, my eyes have been completely open. Now, granted, he has got a very small country. He's got 6.5 million people. And I don't think he has to follow the democratic processes that the US has to follow. But nonetheless, amazing to see how quickly things can be done if they need to be done.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm reminded of what Winston Churchill said: democracy is the worst form of government until we consider all the other choices. And so, look, I get it. I'm not a huge fan of autocracy, but I am a fan of what he's doing. And I also think it makes sense to move from fiat currency when you've debilitated your fiat currency, not him, but the legacy in El Salvador and other countries like El Salvador is the complete debilitation of their fiat currency. And so all that does is sap their people of their time, energy, and money. And so what you and I both know about Bitcoin is it's a restoration of all that. And it's a real opportunity for the world if you can move the world to a Bitcoin standard. And we don't even have to do that. But let's say we did that, Rand. You're changing the world in a way that helps middle and lower middle income people. It will be disruptive to the top end of the system because they've got it well controlled and they've been figuring out a way to milk the top end of the system. But middle and lower income people would be better served by what the president of El Salvador is doing if we could do it in large mass, on large scale. And the great irony is last week, the apparent champion of little people, Elizabeth Warren, was railing on Bitcoin. Okay, so it's just a sign of how early we all are because she really doesn't understand it. She doesn't understand the core principle behind it or the fact that Bitcoin, from an energy perspective, if we moved into a DeFi world, think about all the energy saved, you and me driving to the local retail branch of our commercial or savings bank and all the tellers that are sitting in that savings bank and all the heat and air conditioning has to go to the plant and equipment there.
So, I mean, do you think that she was misinformed or do you think that she's driving the agenda? Because if you listen to how she completed the whole hearing, the question was, do you think that we could start a CBDC that was not as energy destructive as Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera? To me, it sounded like she knew that she was not giving all the facts. I'm not going to say that she was dishonest, but she was certainly not giving all the facts. And she was doing this because she wanted to push an agenda. An agenda is a US central bank digital currency, which is actually what the hearing was about.
Well, I think that's coming. I mean, listen, I think it's a little bit of a both. I think she's misinformed. She hasn't done her homework. The establishment doesn't like this stuff. I think that she's a limousine liberal and she's flying around on private planes. And then when she comes off the plane, she's like hiding, because she doesn't want people to know that she's flying around on the private planes. So she's a limousine liberal. So she's misinformed. And also the policy acts that they're grinding is they want to maintain dollar supremacy. I'm an American citizen. I love my country. And sure, I like dollar supremacy. It has helped the United States in more ways than you can possibly imagine over the last 80 years. Having said that, if you've created $469 billion this year, let me just restate that for everybody. In the last 5 months, calendar ending May 31st, we've created in our country, the United States, $469 billion out of thin air. If you want to go back to April of 2020, we've produced about 30% more dollars. We've put more dollars in circulation. If you just look at the M2 numbers, it's not fair because what ends up happening is if I own the assets, that's great. My assets are going to levitate and go up. But if I don't own the assets, the wages aren't catching up. You've got 26, 27 million people out of work as a result of the pandemic. So wages are sticky downward, assets are sticky upward, and it's going to cause a lot more political heartbreak and political hardship. And so when you sit here today and you look at that situation, it's hard pressed for me to believe that this supposed progressive wouldn't be championing Bitcoin as opposed to railing against it.
All right. So yesterday on the show, Jerome Powell spoke, and I warned guys to look at what his inflation outlook was, and based on his inflation outlook, what we can expect from interest rates. So I want to play you one or two excerpts from that. And then I want to ask you whether you think they are playing a game, whether they are delusional, or whether there is actually a chance that what they say is going to happen is going to happen. Because to me, I can't work out what the strategy is here. I know you're much closer to the presidencies and Washington than I am. I mean, you did spend a whole day there. So, you know.
Don't keep me out of those days. I mean, come on, it was like 11 days.
It was 11.
To make me feel better, you could have said 954,000 seconds, but that's okay. All right, keep going.
Okay,
Let's take a look.
Inflation has increased notably in recent months. The 12-month change in PCE prices was 3.6% in April and will likely remain elevated in coming months before moderating. Part of the increase reflects the very low readings from early in the pandemic falling out of the calculation, as well as the pass-through of past increases in oil prices to consumer energy prices. Beyond these effects, we are also seeing upward pressure on prices from the rebound in spending as the economy continues to reopen, particularly as supply bottlenecks have limited how quickly production in some sectors can respond in the near term. These bottleneck effects have been larger than anticipated, and FOMC participants have revised up their projections for inflation, notably for this year. As these transitory supply effects abate, inflation is expected to drop back toward our longer-run goal, and the median inflation projection falls from 3.4% this year to 2.1% next year and 2.2% in 2023.
Okay, what is he smoking?
What is he smoking? Well, first of all, I feel bad for the guy. I'm going to explain to you why. You have no politician in the United States that has a plan. There's no 10-year plan. There's no 15-year plan. There's no, what are we going to do about our manufacturing issue? How are we going to right size and make our educational system K through 12 fairer? What's our industrial policy? We have no plan. The Chinese have 50 and 20-year plans, 25-year plans, 100-year plans. We have absolutely no plan. So the poor, you allowed to curse on this? I can't remember if you're allowed to curse. Is this a family?
Yeah, you can curse. You can curse. We don't care.
I mean, the poor son of a bitch is stuck, and he has one blunt instrument, and all he can do is lower rates and buy assets. That's all the guy can do. Okay, so you don't have any other legs to the stool. Okay, so I feel terrible for the guy. He knows the box he's in. He knows the box he's putting other people in. So let me give you the Fed speak translator. Okay, you ready? I'm completely fucked. I'm completely fucked because I have some of the worst political leaders in the history of the 244 years of the United States. So I have a policy decision that I need to make so that we don't have a revolution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the fire hydrant of money and I'm going to pour it into the society. And it's going to have inconsequential negative long-term consequences, but it's going to keep us from going into full-on revolution. Okay. Oh, by the way, because I'm doing that, I have taxed you. I have just imposed a silent tax on all of your savings accounts, because if you have dollar-denominated assets, let's use $10,000 as an example. I just told you that your $10,000 is now worth $9,000 in terms of its purchasing power. So
well, they didn't.
That's basically what he just told you. Okay.
Well, that's not exactly what he said, because he said inflation's only just deviating from 3 or 4%, and don't worry, it's going to be okay.
I translated it for you. Of course, he said it with all that gobbledygook and speak, and it's going to moderate longer term, and it's just a short-term blip, and all that other stuff. But he knows he's in a box, and he thought he was getting out of that box, by the way. And I admire the guy. Okay, you may not like this guy, but I admire the guy. I'm going to tell you why. because the minute he saw data that supported him taking down the Fed's balance sheet, he started doing that immediately. Okay, and then Donald Trump was tweeting at him and blah, blah, blah. You may remember this 2018 into 2019. And so this guy's sitting here saying, my currency is supposed to be a store of value, but it has now become a political weapon. It has become a sanctioning weapon, and it has become a palliative for the establishment. But it used to be a store of value, and I'd like to get it back to a store of value. And of course, the pandemic upset that apple cart. So you're in a box, and Satoshi Nakamoto, John Maynard Keynes, Austrian economists, people that really understand what you need to do. That's a very painful thing for a very, very large group of people. What do you need to do? What did Keynes say at the Bretton Woods conference? He said, well, we need one currency. Well, why do you need one currency, Professor Keynes? Well, you need one currency because people are manipulative. They will manipulate their currencies against each other in a form of mercantilism to destroy each other, decrease their exports, and diminish other people's exports. So we need one currency, a standard, a flatness, where there can be no deviation, okay? And so, you couldn't do that back then. You didn't have the technology to do that back then, so they set up a trading band. And I'll just point out from 1944 to 1971, that 27-year period of time in our modern industrial era was great growth, great aspirational opportunity for lower and middle class people. My immigrant family benefited from that because my father was an hourly worker, and he was making enough in wages to support a middle class lifestyle. Those people can't do that anymore. My dad's wages would be down 26% in real terms today. If he didn't have my help in terms of my subsidy, he couldn't live the way we grew up. And that is a disaster for the society. That creates anger. You turn people from aspirational generations of blue collar people into desperational generations of blue collar people through these policies. So these policies long-term suck. And Nakamoto understood that, or the group known as Nakamoto, whoever that may have been. And they said, okay, listen, we can figure this out. We can solve for this by creating a system that's decentralized. Somebody told me that Bitcoin was a Ponzi scheme yesterday. Okay. I said, okay, yeah, let me hear. A brilliant person, FA, a Charlie Munger disciple, the 97-year-old that's missed this whole thing. Okay, well, how is it a Ponzi scheme? And he's trying to tell me it's a Ponzi scheme. Well, first of all, a Ponzi scheme is completely centralized. You have to have a player in the scheme that's rubing the other people. Okay, this is a decentralized network that's scaling pursuant to Metcalfe's law. Of course, it's going to be volatile. Look at any other networks that have scaled. Look at Facebook, Google, Amazon. Amazon dropped 8 times in the last 24 years, greater than 50%. So, and Rand, you're doing this longer than me. Okay, we met together at the Bitcoin conference. I think it was in 2019. I sat on your show. I told you I was going to get into the space. I told you I was doing my homework. I'm an institutionalist, so I have to move more slowly than you. But I'm going to tell you something, man. We are not even in the first inning. We're coming out of spring training. Okay, we're not even at the first game, the first inning. We're heading north from Florida. Okay, this is so early. You have no idea from my perspective as a person that looks at these institutions. Like somebody told me that the topic today was, how are the Wall Street institutions handling the first Bitcoin swoon? I'm like laughing. These people don't own any Bitcoin. Okay, Tudor Jones owns Bitcoin. I'm just being honest with you. Okay, Skybridge owns Bitcoin. Tudor Jones owns Bitcoin. Druckenmiller owns Bitcoin. Dalio just bought some Bitcoin. But the institutions, they're not buying Bitcoin because they know that they get fired for decisions that go wrong. They don't get fired if they don't make a decision. Do you see what I'm saying? And so most of these institutions, I would talk to the institutions and say, hey, you want me to get fired? I'm not buying Bitcoin. I don't care if it goes up 200,000 a coin. I'm not getting fired. So you buy Bitcoin, and if you fall on your face, I'll laugh at you. And if you make money, I'll hate you and throw eggs and tomatoes at you, filled with green. There'll be green tomatoes for green envy. I'll throw those at you. Okay. So, that's where we are, Rand. And let me tell you something. I like the guy. You probably don't like him because he's part of the establishment. He knows. Read his writings, read through the BS that he's saying in a speech like that. He knows he's in trouble. He's trying to figure out if there's a way out of it. Okay, he's spinning the Fed's Rubik's Cube right now, trying to get the colors to match up. He knows he's in trouble.
Guys, I want you to smash the like button. We need to get everybody hearing this. I see that there's 10,000 people watching this live. There's 4,300 likes. And this is, for me, one of the most mind-blowing interviews that I've ever done. So come on, guys, give Scaramucci some love. Break that like button. I want to see the like button at like 7,000. I see we got like 4,500 and it's going up. Go, go, go. I see it's flying. Come on, guys. Smash the like. Let's break this like button. All right. Powell's been here for a while. And I think he wants to be here for a little longer. How can he get us out of this? I mean, can he get out of this? Is there anything that anybody in the government can do? Is there any change in policy? How do you get out of this?
Well, the answer is yes, but it will never happen. So how could he get out of it? If they could create a bipartisan policy initiative. They did something last week or 10 days ago. It was pretty interesting. They passed a $250 billion bill to reorient manufacturing back to the United States. But it was a small measure and it got some bipartisan support. But if he could be the architect, the United States needs a post-World War reset. So let me explain that. Post-World War II started in 1944 at Bretton Woods. Okay, it ended in 1989. That's when it really ended. When the wall came down, it ended, and we didn't handle ourselves well after it. Clinton got a lot of things right, was starting to run a surplus into 2000, our last governmental surplus. But once we started the war on terrorism, we broke the bank in our society and the United States. We did exactly what bin Laden said we would do, by the way. He said he would hit us hard in our homeland, we'd overreact, and we'd spend trillions and trillions of dollars bombing mud huts. And that's exactly what we did, right? So you could now say, we're done. This is what we're going to do. One, we're going to have an infrastructure plan. It's going to be bipartisan. We're going to rebuild our bridges, roads, and tunnels. Number two, we're going to have an educational plan where we can get Rand to teach Bitcoin economics in every school. We now know how to do that over Zoom. The pandemic taught us that. So why don't we get the genius in the subject area to teach the kids? Why don't we get George Lucas to teach filmmaking as opposed to the play director at the high school? You understand what I'm saying? And we could change the whole system, and we can make the system egalitarian and very, very fair. Okay, so to me, we could put together a package of what I would call equal opportunity. What are they? Solve the healthcare issue, equalize the education, supply jobs training, build the infrastructure, reset the manufacturing plan.
How does that help the currency? How does that help the US dollar?
I'll tell you how it helps the currency, because the minute you do that, you broaden the ability for the population to make money. You don't have this top-heavy society. And so therefore, it will help the currency. It will strengthen the economy. And as the economy strengthens, you have less of a need to debase the currency. And then you're going to have to do something that they don't want to do. You'll have to fix the currency. You'll have to say, you know what? We are done with the money production. So this is what the currency is going to look like. If they went to digitize that currency, they have an infinite supply of that currency, Ren. But if they said, okay, for the purposes of the next 10 years, the currency is going to be here. This is going to be M2 money supply. We're digitizing it. This is the currency. You'll strengthen that currency. But here's the problem with that, right? The minute you strengthen the goddamn currency, what are you going to do about the $28 trillion of debt? Because you don't like taxing people in this country. And so you're only taking in $3.7 trillion of tax revenues, but you're spending $8 trillion. So the government is borrowing 54 cents for every dollar that it's spending. So how the hell are you going to fix it? You can't fix it because you can't raise the rates to fix it. You see what I'm saying?
So it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
So it's not going to happen. So you know what's going to happen? You're going to fix it. Okay. Your buddies are going to fix it, because what's going to happen is the decentralization is going to exponentially grow, and you're going to fix it. Private enterprise is going to fix it. Okay. You want to screw people out of their voting rights. Coca-Cola's like, you know what? I'm not up for that. Okay. FedEx is like, I'm sorry. I don't want to screw black and brown people out of their voting rights. Okay. So the society is going to force the change. You know, remember, if you were at a corporate board and they added diversity, black and brown people and women, what happened? Well, when Georgia changed its voting laws, everybody got together in the boardroom and said, that doesn't work for my company. Okay, so what's happening is we're getting the society to react to these imbeciles, and they will break the foundational principles of that establishment. And over the next 20 years, when that happens, it'll by and large be very good for the society, and it will cause a rude awakening for a small group of people. And those are the people at the tippy top.
So listen, I know we've got a hard stop in like 15 minutes, and I've got so much to get through with you. I want to talk to you about, you mentioned that a very small part of the fund management society has Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And a report came out yesterday or a few weeks ago with the survey that said that in the US, in the next 5 years, North American portfolio managers see their portfolios holding 10.5% in Bitcoin. What percentage of funds today that are managed by hedge funds and pension funds?
I think you chapped up there on me. It could be my internet, or maybe it was yours, Rand. I didn't hear the question.
I'm in El Salvador. So question is, what percentage of funds do you think US pension funds, fund management, what percentage of funds right now are sitting in crypto?
Less than 0.5%. Institutional, less than 0.5%. Maybe not even. In 5 years, it'll probably be 2.5 to 5%. It won't get to that number that you just said, in my opinion, because they're too late on the adoption curve. You know, your goal and my goal is to get the people involved, because it's going to happen. And so a result of which, when those people get in at $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a coin, you know, I would like my clients in there well ahead of them. They're just not going to get there. It is too hard of a thing to fully understand. What did Nakamoto say in the white paper? You know, I don't have the time to explain it to you. And if you can't figure it out, just don't have the time to explain it. Okay, so, but it's happening. Okay, it is a technological masterpiece, and it is a proliferation. To quote Paul Tudor Jones, Bitcoin is math. Math has universal properties, okay? You know, I know we're not here to talk about the UFOs and the aliens, but let me just say this to you. If there are aliens, they know math. You got that? Now, they may look different. The numbers may look different than our numbers, but the math is a universal property. Do you see what I'm saying? And so Bitcoin represents that. And so when you really understand money and the historical nature of money, what is money, Rand? It is a technology that we are using to transfer goods and services with each other. And what do we need for that technology? What do we want from our money? Store of value, ease of transferability, that it's part of that network. Okay, and what is the last thing that we want for our money? We want to know that when I send it to you, you get it. And when you send it to me, I get it. And there's no BS involved. Okay, Bitcoin solves for every one of those things. Now, we can talk about the other currencies, but Bitcoin's the apex predator. Bitcoin's the one that El Salvador is going with, because they know that will be the standard if this thing develops. And by the way, let's say all these governments get everything right from this day forward, then Bitcoin will be a store of value akin to gold. It will then have a $7 to $10 trillion market cap. If I'm bold here and I tell you that the world ends up adopting this type of standard, then it's 150 trillion. And by the way, I'm not a Bitcoin evangelist, Rand. I don't think that Jesus and Moses got together and had a baby and produced Bitcoin. I don't think that. I'm not one of these like evangelists. I'm an investor. I'm someone that's looking at this and looking at the properties of this. And I'm saying, okay, I have to own this for my clients. And by the way, they're scared shit. So I'll give them 1% of it or 2% of it. I'm irresponsibly longer than that myself personally. But for my clients, I'm like, hey, I just need you to get involved. What's that?
Aren't we all irresponsibly long at this stage?
Yeah, I'm irresponsibly long it because I see what's happening. Okay. And when I talk to my friend Michael Saylor, okay, he's like, well, when did you realize it? I said, well, I probably didn't see it in its full clarity until October of 2020. Okay. And I was on your show. I don't know, you tell me. I think it was June of it was probably June of 2019. And so I'm like, okay, but to have the eureka moment where you actually understand what is happening, and then you have the giggle. The first moment is you have this eureka moment, and then the second moment you have is the giggle. And what's the giggle? The giggle is, holy shit, I'm onto this thing before everybody else. I got to get myself long this thing. Right? What did Saylor say? The first Bitcoin was the hardest one to buy. Once I got long it and started to understand it, I was figuring out how I could buy more and more of it. And he's obviously doing that with, his latest rounds of financings.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm losing signal, but I do want to ask you about the ESG narrative. So this whole ESG narrative, you have a responsibility as a fund manager to invest in things responsibly. How do you respond to people and pressure in your organization around responsible ESG and the whole narrative on Bitcoin that was sparked off by the Elon Musk?
Well, listen, it's costing energy. There's no question about that. If you look at its carbon emissions and relative to the global footprint, it's at 0.13% of the overall global footprint. So it's scant from that position. But if you step back and you think about what it could save, if you moved into a world of DeFi and all of those people in the banks, all of those buildings, all of the traffic in and out of those buildings, the commuting, Bitcoin, in my mind, is a green entity. Now,
I know what the facts are. I know what the facts are. And I think everybody knows the facts. I'm more interested in how you manage perception with your investors.
Well, I can't do that because it's overwhelmed by the media and the establishment saying that Bitcoin is dirty and Bitcoin is not green. I can build my case. I can make my case. You know what the facts are. But I can't do that. So the only thing I can do is get people long it despite it, because Rand, there's only so many battles you can fight. When I'm an institutionalist, so what am I doing? I am fighting the battle of getting people to appreciate and get long Bitcoin. Okay, that's all I'm trying to do. When I get them over the hump, if they want to have the ESG argument, I can intellectually prove to them that Bitcoin, like Cathie Wood, I can show them Cathie Wood's paper with Jack Dorsey, and I can prove to them Bitcoin and its future leads to a cleaner society. I can definitely do that, but I can't do it all at once. So step one for me.
Aren't you scared to lose business? Aren't you scared to lose business? Aren't you scared that some of your investors?
I've lost business. I got clients redeeming on my fund. Okay, now I know this is a very cynical thing for me to say, but you should pay very close attention to this because I am a money manager, okay? I have done the calculation of Bitcoin naysayers that are going to redeem from my fund. And I've had a minus next to their number, And then I've done the plus Bitcoin appreciation in my fund as a result of me having the Bitcoin in my fund. So in other words, I have figured out that the people leaving are going to be outmatched by the Bitcoin's appreciation. You got that? So I'm willing to take it. And I get on the phone with these people. I said, all right, listen to me. You're firing me because I'm long Bitcoin and you didn't like the month of May. And I got that. So here's what we're going to do. Write this down. Please accept a phone call from me in May of 2024. Okay, it's only 3 short years from now. And let's together look at the price of Bitcoin. Okay, and if you're right and Bitcoin's garbage and I'm wrong, I'll buy you dinner anywhere in the country. But if I'm right, I want you to shut up and put some more money back with me. Okay? And that's it. That's all I can do. But I've done that calculation. Have I lost clients? Yes, of course I've lost clients. I'm running an institutional large-scale business with high net worth family members and so forth. Of course I'm losing clients. But the flip side is I know they're being outmatched by the appreciation of Bitcoin.
And what about the volatility?
Can I tell you something I did recently, which you'll get a kick out of? Just 30 seconds, okay? I set up a UIT with First Trust. Okay, so I put 17 stocks in a portfolio that are tied to the digital ecosystem. So that's MicroStrategy, it's Square, it's companies like Overstock that have that huge venture position in crypto. And I put 17 companies together because I said to my clients, okay, you hate Bitcoin. You should own Bitcoin, but since you hate Bitcoin, here are 17 stocks that are going to build the digital architecture and infrastructure over the next 25 years, including Coinbase. And I put that together, and we've raised, I don't know, in a month about $35-40 million for that product.
That's incredible. What about the volatility in Bitcoin? I mean, Wall Street's not used to this kind of volatility. 50%, 40. We're down 50% in the last 60 days, or 40% in the last 60 days. We've been 50% down. I mean, that's not what you guys are conditioned for in Wall Street. You guys are conditioned for markets that are relatively stable.
Well, yes, but let me take you through some of these names: Amazon, Facebook, Google. Remember, Amazon has dropped 8 times greater than 50%. And by the way, Wall Street was on a hate fest with Amazon. When Amazon stabilized and is worth what it is worth today, now the institutional players are in. You see what I'm saying? But the ride to get to Amazon to where we are right now, it was like this. So yes, I mean, your point is the institutions don't like the volatility. I accept that. But what I would say, and what Kathy Wood would say, and what Saylor would say, is there's no way to have a technological S-curve and to have a society adapt something that's better for it without that volatility. Do you think the horse stables at the turn of the century and the horse carriage makers were in love with the horseless carriage? They were not. They were like, okay, this is a disaster.
Yeah. Okay. And I know you are out of time, but I do have one more question for you. ETF. So yesterday, the SEC again did the Van Eck ETF. When you look at the SEC's roadmap, they're more worried about dealing with short selling than they are about regulating Bitcoin. So one, are we going to see an ETF soon? And two, is the SEC being irresponsible?
No, I don't think the SEC is being irresponsible. I think that they have to go up the learning curve. I think that ultimately, if you really understand that application process, they need to make sure that the ETFs cannot be manipulated. You and I know that they can't be, but I think they have to go up the learning curve. I can't really say much more than that because I'm in a quiet period, because I myself and Skybridge have filed for an ETF. Yes.
You have an ETF file.
That's all right. So do
you think we're going to get 2021? Do you think there's going to be an ETF in 2021? Yes or no?
I would say first quarter, possibly second quarter of 2022.
Okay. Now, look, I know you told me you've got a meeting in 2 minutes. So Mooch, thank you, man. I mean, the last time you came here, there were 1,000 people watching our stream. Today, there's 11,000 people that have watched us.
Well, I mean, that's a tribute to you, man. You know what you're doing.
You, man.
To you, and I'll come on anytime. And I appreciate the opportunity, and travel safely. And there will be more countries like El Salvador that will be moving to this standard.
And listen, thank you for everything that you've done for me personally, for being on my show, for being such a supporter, and for everything that you're doing for the crypto community. Much love from Crypto.
I'm working on it every day, and I'm irresponsibly long, Rand.
Me too, me too. My friend, thank you so much. Amazing, my brother. Thank you. Wow. Man, I wanted to talk to you guys about so many more things, but mooch. Okay, so let's get through all the other things very quickly. And I know my signal's bad. I apologize for it, guys. I mean, this is, I'm in El Salvador. I'm dealing with as much internet as I can get. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I will be back in the US tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be back, and we'll start doing more shows tomorrow. So I want to talk to you about a few things. So the first thing is Mark Cuban comes out and boasts about how easy it is to make money in crypto. He says, crypto businesses make more sense than you think, and valuing tokens is easier and makes more sense than you think. They are just like businesses like any other, but have a huge advantage. And he writes a whole blog about it. And then the same token that he writes a blog about has a Mark Cuban missile crash. What happened? He was a liquidity provider in one of the pools, and it looks like there was an exploit in the pool, in that pool. Now, I don't know whether or not he was actually in, but he says, I got hit like everyone else. The crazy part is I got out. They thought they were increasing their TVL. Thank BAM. Then BAM. Okay, so what he's saying, and I don't know if I believe him, but what he's saying is, he's saying what sharks always say. For this reason, I'm out. That's like what he's saying. For this reason, I'm out. He says he was out. I don't believe he was out. I think that he actually did get exploited. And if you look at his wallet, he had $8 million worth of liquidity locked up in this protocol. And why am I talking about this? Because I know everybody else is talking about this. But it's a very, very important lesson for you guys. The lesson to me is, when you hear that Mr. Wonderful or Mark Cuban is an investor in a project, that does not mean that you should be buying the same project. Because let me tell you something. Those guys are amazing sharks. They are amazing show people, and what they've done is absolutely, absolutely incredible. But they're not experienced crypto investors. I'll tell you that much. They're not experienced crypto investors. We cannot trust them to be crypto investors. What you be for crypto people, for crypto, and not following sharks and mainstream people for your crypto investments, because they're not better than you. They got here very, very, very late. They don't know what they're doing. You can hear when they ask questions. They don't know what they're doing. And people follow them. Oh, no, I'm investing in this because Mark Cuban invested. For me, when I hear Mark Cuban invested, I'm out. I invested in Matic. If you were watching my show, you invested in Matic way before Mark Cuban got in. You invested in decentralized exchanges and layer twos way before Mark Cuban got in. In this industry, we teach them what to invest in. Not they teach us. This is not traditional equity investing. And yes, I could learn a lot from Mark Cuban around traditional equity investing. But be careful. Don't follow celebrities, mainstream celebrities, into crypto investments, because they will buy late, because you will get rugged, because they're not the right people to follow. And that's why I want to talk about it, because I kind of thought, do I talk about this? Everyone's spoken about this Mark Cuban thing to death. My message to you guys is to say, Mark Cuban is not a role model for investing in crypto. He's a great role model for investing in equity. And if you want to be on TV, he'll teach you how to act. And if you want to buy a basketball team, he's great. But he's not a great crypto investor. And the same thing with Mr. Wonderful, and the same thing with Floyd Mayweather and all these other celebrities. Don't be a fool. If you're watching Crypto Banter, you don't need to be listening to what Mark Cuban is doing. When I see Mark Cuban, when people say to me, hey, Mark Cuban's investing in this, I'm out. That's when I say, I'm out. So I hear Mark Cuban's invested. I say, well, because you told me that Mark Cuban invested for this reason, I'm out. That's it. All right, let's move on to the big story of the day. So I told you guys that I had a report. And the report is from how do I say it? It's a Wall Street institution. It's an internal report. And this report shows that Wall Street is looking at a narrative. Now, I was super surprised because I thought that there is no way in the world that Wall Street would be looking at altcoins. And if they were, I thought the only altcoin they'd be looking at is Ethereum. But in this report, it looks like they're looking beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum. And if you want to know what they are looking at, guys, I want 10,000 likes, and I will tell you what the narrative is. And I will tell you, let's just see, how many likes have we got? Let's have a look here. We've got 7,200 likes. So let's get the likes up to 10,000. And then I will reveal to you what they are looking at, what the narrative is. And it's a narrative that we've spoken about many times on the show. I've said it to you guys many times. And I've told you guys to get in. And now it looks like Wall Street are getting in. And I'm going to show you why I think they are getting in. They don't, in the report, they don't say why they're getting in. But I'm going to show you why I think they're getting in. So let's go. Smash up those likes. I see there's 7,600. Come on, guys. Break the like button. 7,700. Let's go. Give me some love. All the way here from El Salvador. I should be with the president delegation. Here I am making live streams for you guys. And no, I don't get paid to do this. I don't advertise on the show. And I'm not going to show you a BYBIT link. Not today, at least. Although I must say, BYBIT did sponsor my coverage of the El Salvador episode, which I'm going to be releasing on Monday. They paid to sponsor it. Now, we don't usually take sponsorships, but in this case, because there's so much going on and there were so many costs in flying a crew here and a producer and everything else, I decided to accept things. So we do like BYBIT. All right, guys, come on, smash it. I want to see 10,000 likes. We're nowhere near. I mean, otherwise we can just break the news tomorrow when we get 10,000 likes. We need 2,000 more likes. 2,000 more likes. Let's see. Let's see. Smash it. Come on, guys. Smash that like. Break it. And I will tell you what the narrative is. Okay, let me tell you what the narrative is because we are running out of time. So, and again, I'm sorry about the camera here. I see the camera is doing crazy things. So, there is a report that we got from one major Wall Street institution. It was a preliminary report. The report hasn't been circulated yet. And in this report, it says that Wall Street is looking at a certain narrative, or certainly this institution in Wall Street is looking at a certain narrative. What this report alludes to is the fact that Wall Street is extremely bullish on Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the reason why they're bullish on Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're bullish on Bitcoin because of the inflationary risks, and they're bullish on Ethereum because of the network effects that Ethereum has got. But both Bitcoin and Ethereum, solution they allude to in the report is the Lightning Network. On Ethereum, they're also bullish on scaling solutions. Now, the problem with the Lightning Network is that the Lightning Network is very difficult for you and I to invest in, right? Like, how do you invest in the Lightning Network? I mean, do you know any tokens for any projects that are building something on the Lightning Network? No. And the reason why that's happening is because most people that are building on Lightning are Bitcoin maximalists. And these Bitcoin maximalists don't like Ethereum, and therefore they don't issue other tokens, right? That's why we don't see many token projects on the Lightning Network. We don't see many tokenized Lightning Network projects. And so if you believe this report and you believe that what Wall Street is looking for is the scalability of the two technologies of Bitcoin and Ethereum, then the logical next step would be to invest in layer 2 Ethereum. And that's exactly what the narrative is. I've been talking to you guys about investing in layer 2 Ethereum for a long time. And I'm saying to you guys again, it's a great time to be investing in layer 2 Ethereum. And I'm not the only one who sees it. Because Wall Street say, we like crypto, but we are worried about the scalability. And if you want to talk about the scalability of people who like Bitcoin and like Ethereum, Lightning you can't really invest in. Very difficult to invest in Lightning unless you have equity investments. But there is something that you can invest in if you want layer 2 Ethereum. And the layer 2 Ethereum that I want to talk to you about specifically today is I want to talk to you about this tweet around Matic. Let's look at this tweet. The tweet says, month on month, Matic increased active users by 86.12% and revenue by 70.45%. Okay, I just want to read this again to you guys. I'm not even going to read it. I'm just going to say it because it's a mindfuck that Matic's users have doubled. They didn't say month on a year on year. They said month on month. In 1 month, the Matic user base increased by 86%. Let's have a look at it. Active addresses going up on Ethereum. On Ethereum, the active addresses going down week on week or month on month, down 12% week on week, down 0.62%, down 5.86%. The average revenue down, down, down. Where are those users going? Well, in week 19 on this report, the Matic user base grew by 35%. Week 20, 17%. Week 21, 14%. What this shows is that the Matic user base is growing. The Ethereum ecosystem is finally migrating to Matic. And this report, this tweet goes on. It says, users are the primary driver of revenue. Matic's revenue has grown. Week 19, 35%. Week 20, 17%. Week, and so on and so forth. Ethereum keeps losing users, losing it to the Matic network. As a consequence, we continue to see Polygon's daily active users climb. Polygon has now 17.42% of Ethereum's active daily users. So almost 1/5 of the whole of Ethereum is now living on Polygon. That should mean that the market cap of Polygon should be 1/5 the market cap of Ethereum, is it? Not even close. Not even close. Polygon's transactions have seen an increase of 372% month over month. As Matic continues to onboard users, Polygon becomes more desirable for dApps to deploy, which attracts more users. Okay, guys, long story short, if I align the Wall Street report that says that they're bullish on Ethereum and Bitcoin, but they are worried about the scalability issues, and I take what's happening on Matic, 1/5 of the Ethereum users are today on Matic. Matic is taking away all of Ethereum's growth. I'm saying to you again, Matic is probably undervalued at this level. Look at this. And I'm not telling you to buy this. I'm just showing you the facts. I'm just showing you the facts. DFYN, the exchange that we have been talking about, did $1 billion in their first month of trading. $1 billion in revenue for a brand new, in trading, for a brand new exchange on layer 2 on Ethereum. Guys, don't sleep on layer 2 Ethereum. And if you can get into layer 2 Bitcoin, Lightning Network, don't sleep on layer 2 Lightning Network. Because here in El Salvador, all the transactions are happening on the Lightning Network, which is layer 2 for Bitcoin. So, guys, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Now, I know my camera is... Tomorrow, there is no show, guys. No show tomorrow. I'm flying back to the United States. So no show tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday with Raoul Paul. I've got a monthly show. Get this, guys. Get this. I've got a monthly show with Raoul Paul. And I told him that we're not going to talk at all about his history and his thinking around Bitcoin, because everybody's heard that, and you can go and get that anywhere else on the internet. We're going to have a monthly show with Raoul Paul where we talk about what is going to happen in the next month in crypto and look at the biggest news. So we'll talk about El Salvador, and we'll talk about ETFs and talk about everything that we've just done. So I will see you again on Monday. No show tomorrow from me, but my educator, my brother Sheldon, will be on tomorrow. Until then, guys, I'm going to Bitcoin Mountain. I'll see you again tomorrow. I'll see you again on Monday. If you're trading, trade well, my friends.
Crypto Banter is a social podcast for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers should not be construed as financial advice. Views expressed by guests and hosts do not reflect the views of the station. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research.